Hi again, Marguerite here. I'm glad everybody could make it again this Friday. I wanted to just talk a little bit about harvesting and the safety features around harvesting and the thoughts around the plants that we're going to be harvesting through the year and just what all those things mean to us. And I want to thank Lacey again for doing the video. She's just here, an old regular person coming back and hanging out with this old lady. And she's just amazing with her work. First things first, we're harvesting in the spring. When we harvest springtime edibles, if you're new to harvesting, and make sure you're bringing someone with you so that you are clearly harvesting with 100% accuracy. And also bring an ID book. Some of the ID books that we are looking at is Newcomb's ID book, or you can even utilize Peterson's guides for medicinal wild plants or Peterson's guides for wild edibles. Do practice that, because there will be a time in your life that you'll be harvesting on your own, and it's good to start off on the right foot and utilizing the tools that are really important to help you ID accurately. The other thing around harvesting in the spring especially, and especially if you're new to eating wild foods, is that less is more. And that's because usually springtime foods are very potent and lots of nutrition. And even if you're eating something that has no problems around it, there's nothing toxic with it, that you have to cook it first, or you have to do this first, or you have to pick the right part first. Even having a little bit too much of a good thing when it's a wild edible can make you feel sick. But if you're new to wild edibles, even throughout the whole year, because we just are not used to eating that potent of a food. Next thing about wild foraging. 1, harvest with 100% accuracy. But 2, because it's good for you, more isn't necessarily better. And 3, make sure you're IDing that there's no poisonous lookalikes. Again, that's why it's important to have somebody with you the first time, or the first few times, or as long as you need it. But the biggest thing that is important to me and us here at Plant Pioneers on related to wild edibles is that, and or wild medicinals, is that we considered the plants. And what I mean by that is that the plants aren't here just for our taking, and that there is a relationship that we're developing with them that is important, and that we need to respect them for their life force, for the gifts that they offer us. And if there's not a lot of them, we should just refrain from harvesting them at all. And in this case right now in North America, more on the East Coast, is the issue around wild ramps. Wild ramps are starting to be pressured, and they're not going extinct. There's still a lot out there, but they're being over harvested. So there's a request by many harvesters now is to harvest wild ramps, few and far between, and no bulbs. Just harvest the leaves above ground parts. And if you're finding a mature plant, you're going to find a mature plant having 3 and possibly 4 leaves for one bulb. Just take 2 leaves. Don't take all 4. Leave them for next year. Give the plant a chance to thrive. And if you find a ramp that has 2 leaves, take 1. At this point of where we are with harvesting, if you're new at it, somewhat new, not so new, but you're still kind of discovering, what I want to say to you about that is, over time, as this becomes one with you and you understand this identification like it's the back of your hand, But never, 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 ever take that for granted. We'll be going over that over the weeks. Why? At some point, it'll be great for you to start when you're moving through your garden or you're moving through the woods, walking and exploring, to go from looking for something to go to just being one with your environment. A lot of times the best way to do that is to daydream. Of course, not if you're at the edge of a rock edge. You don't want to do that. But you want to do that when you're in a very safe location. You might want to start in your garden. Yes, simply right in your garden. And just move across your garden fields and your garden beds and your hillside and just meander and don't think about what you want to harvest. But follow your heart and follow where your heart is pulled and see what happens. And then when you're pulled to a plant and you know the plant and you know that plant is harvestable, and then you can ask and see if that is to be even harvested today or not. That's the type of harvesting we want to get to. We want to watch, maybe even look and watch the deer in the fields when they're grazing and walking around. Act like them. And then I believe we become one with nature. And then we know we are the nature that is around us. So when we're working with plants and we want to look closer or harvest them in a nice way, sometimes we could do pinching, but sometimes pinching doesn't work. And so I like to bring my favorite tools, and one of them is this straight switchblade-like knife to get up close and into and around plants easily. If it's mushroom season, this is a more appropriate knife because here we can get around and carve the mushroom and even clean it off if we need to, thanks to Jerry Perlberg. The other thing we like to have is if we need to get closer to flowers, and we have a jeweler's tool, 18 magnification, or what was turned on for me just last year, a 45 magnification, a little microscope with a flashlight. Got to get close and look. You can clearly see what you're looking at. Battery is in there. But what I think is the most important that we all need to remember to do, because the land is requesting that we remember, is to give tobacco or sweetgrass as a thank you and a remembering. And this is like a gift back to the earth. Okay, what do we have here? Well, these are one of the components that I use in my harvesting practices that I protect myself with when I go out into the fields and into the gardens and the woods. And yeah, I protect myself with this. And what this is this is a tick powder made by John Janiczeski of Wildflower Farms in Delhi, New York. And it's an organic powder that I apply onto my clothes and my feet and my legs, including if you're going out with your dogs or your cats, you can use this powder and use this on them, and believe it or not, it keeps the ticks off of us. So that's a preventive measure. Now, what happens if the ticks do come on you for whatever reason, and most likely it's because you didn't use the powder, like in my case? We have our tick kit, and what's in here is 5 applications plus directions plus where to send the tick that you do pull off of you or your dog, and 5 band-aids, 5 Ziplocs to send the ticks in, so you have 5 applications, tweezers, And then you have two other components. You have andrographis, which is an antimicrobial cleanser for the tick bite after you've pulled the tick out, and then bentonite clay, which you take some out and mix it with the andrographis, make a paste, apply it to the tick bite, cover it with a Band-Aid for 24 hours, and then give your doctor a call.